All right. On this episode of the Garlic Marketing Show, I hope I didn't scare my buddy Charles. Charles, thanks for being on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about how Charles used partnerships to help one financial company who's been on the episode grow to $6 million in sales in 1 year just through partnership, no ads. How he's helped Alaric Heck, who is a YouTube ads expert, grow. We're going to talk about how to identify ideal partners, the number one rule in partnerships, how to connect with those ideal partners, and the key to making those partnerships successful. All that in a quick 20 minutes with Mr. Charles Byrd. And before we get started, this is brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best things you can do besides partnerships is get your customer stories out there. Go to videocasestory.com to learn how to collect, craft, and deliver your customer stories. All right, let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about some of your success stories, because we're helping with your case stories, and that's why I love bringing people on that were doing their case stories, because I'm like, this is legit, like helping businesses. What's your favorite success story out of all yours right now? Because you've helped so many businesses that were stuck in Facebook ads use partnerships to grow their business.
Yeah, so I'll reference one from last year who you just did the case story for, which you're so damn good at, and I'm grateful you're helping us with it. So, and then I'll tell you a current one that's just going amazingly well. So Jackson Milan, he's a gentleman out of Australia. He has a 11K offer helping businesses focus on their core numbers and retain more personal wealth. He was heavily dependent on Facebook for his traffic, and at the time he was actually doing well with it. So for every dollar he put into ads, he got $3 back in sales. And that was going great until the day Facebook shut down his account. So imagine you've got a team, you've got a business, and your core lead source evaporates overnight because you're not diversified. You're dependent on one tech giant platform. Anyway, that's what happened to Jackson. He asked around what to do. He was referred over to work with me to scale with joint ventures. That's basically getting in front of other people's audiences who already have your ideal clients. So he hired me to help him with his strategy, identifying ideal partners, how to operationally execute joint venture promotions. And this dude is a quick start. He's a sharp guy. So he did exactly what I told him. And within 2 months, he'd lined up around 70 joint venture promotions. I checked in with him a month or so ago, and I'm like, all right, it's been a little over a year. Where are you at? He's like, we've done $6 million in revenue, collected $2 million in cash, all through joint venture promotions. And you just chatted with him, so I'd love your take on that too.
Yeah, and you know what we'll do? We'll throw the case story in at the end of this episode. I love him. He's a great guy. You know, you listen to me. He's a genuine person. But he talks about the struggles of Facebook ads. And what I think is important is the scariness of it, depending on one ad source. You're paying up front, which is a gamble. And then you also just don't know what kind of leads you're going to come in through. And that's what I like about partnerships is you know that audience, and it's like a referral. And his business has grown immensely because of it. And don't get me wrong, he has an amazing product on the back end, amazing service, which I really liked, and that's why I had him on the Garlic Marketing Show. But you did so much for him. And I want to talk about the other one because I want to get into the nuance of of setting these up. So tell me about the most recent one.
Okay, so there's a gentleman who a lot of you may know of named Alaric Heck. He's a YouTube ads expert, and if you know him, you'll see him everywhere because the dude's omnipresent on all these platforms, and he's phenomenal at YouTube ads. So he's an ideal client in the sense that he's well known for what he does. He's great at what he does. He's a good presenter, and their whole team and offering's great. But they weren't doing any joint ventures, so they hired me to help them with their strategy, identifying ideal partners, how to operationalize it. And within 6 weeks, they were fully in production, and they've lined up joint venture promotions to other people's audiences, every week, all summer and deep into the fall. And they've gotten so much traction with it. They're flying me out to Austin to present to all the people in their high ticket programs. These are 14 to 75K. There'll be 150 people. And they're like, this is a phenomenal addition to diversify your lead sources. So they've sent me referrals. They're having me come speak because it's worked so well. So it's satisfying to jump in and in that time frame give them a whole new lead source they never had.
And I think it's important because, it's not saying that his ads don't work for him. It's just that you need to have multiple lead sources. And I really think, if you look at some of the fastest growing companies out there, they add on through partnerships. They add on through this. It's not like you invented this thing that no one's ever done before, but you got really, really good at asking and setting them up. So you said something important. How identifying the ideal partners. You helped Alaric identify the ideal partners. How do you go about identifying your ideal partner?
Okay, so it has to do with getting clarity on who your ideal clients are. Who do you want to be working with? Who are you working with at a high capacity? And then it's looking at, all right, what communities, what groups, what associations, where are these folks spending time? Who are they following? And who are in adjacent industries where who's cranking out your ideal clients every day? Like, just as a simple example, someone teaching coaches or course building, what's the next thing they need after they know how to coach and they have an offer or they have a program? They need to get it in front of more of their ideal clients. So anyone in those industries are making my ideal clients every day. So who's doing that for you? Who is perpetually kicking out your folks once they're served? So then you look at where are those ideal partners spending their time? What groups are they in? What events do they go to? What Facebook groups are they in, or LinkedIn or whatever? And really showing up is a huge part of this. Going to events like traffic and conversions coming up. It's kind of like the mecca of this world, or events by people like Jeff Walker or Stu McLaren or Eben Pagan or any of these kind of leaders. That's where these partners can be found. What mastermind groups are they in? What podcasts are they doing? Do you have a connection to the person who interviewed them? These are all pathways to get into their orbit. And you want to do it in a way where you're coming in as a warm, trusted source. I was on another podcast this morning with a woman I met in the Grant Cardone mastermind. And she's kind of an introvert, and she was a little, she had trepidation about meeting someone new, but she was like, if I met him in that room, it's absolutely going to be worth my time to speak to him. And then to me, and of course it was well worth her time. So when you're in the room with these peers, you're one of them, versus trying to reach out to someone cold who doesn't know who you are and you're coming in at a 1 or 2 on their radar. You want to either be introduced or be in a community, so you come in at a 6, 7, or 9 on their radar.
That's such an important thing to do. And if you combine that also on top of all the other type of marketing, so people have kind of heard of you, and then you get introduced in this room, and it's such a connection. I know because I've had people where I meet them in a different place and like, oh, I've seen your podcast, or I've seen this, or I've seen that. And maybe the podcast didn't lead, it wasn't the final thing, but they've messaged it. And this just seals that deal. And I think getting in those rooms is so crucial. And you talk about it in like the coaching space and the online space, but this can be done with any business, can it?
Yeah, it is vertical agnostic, meaning all we're looking to do is get in front of more of our ideal clients in a systematic way, leveraging other people's communities. So even though my sweet spot are coaches, consultants, course builders, I have clients in the physical product realm, and from our work, they're looking to do 30,000 a day in joint venture revenue. So it's yet again looking for who already has their ideal audience and lining up content or a presentation or mailings or challenges or whatever it may be, leveraging that other audience. So you're totally right. It's vertical agnostic.
And I think you made also another good point is it doesn't have to be a pure like referral relationship. You need to be bringing value to their audience, correct?
100%.
And how do you figure out what the best value is to bring to that audience?
Yeah. So, well, number one is bringing value not only to the audience, but to them as a partner as well, because that's actually where it starts, is in the conversation with them and listening to what they're doing, who they're working with, how they serve them, the outcomes they get for them, and then guiding that conversation to demonstrate how their people will go further with their thing and your thing combined. That's the magic of teeing these up to begin with. And then ways to provide value to a particular audience, it's based on the exact same thing. Like as an example, a client of mine is a book publisher. So once they have the book written, they need to launch that thing. They need to get it out. So if I come in and do a presentation on how to get endorsed free joint venture traffic, that's highly complementary to ensuring the success of his clients. So his clients will do way better when our things are combined. So it's coming into an appropriate community where it's very clear you can add value. And that should be the context of teeing these up to begin with. If there's not an alignment, it likely won't do well to begin with.
Yep. No, but there's so many alignments out there. So many. I mean, I'm sure you could list out hundreds for any given audience. And so now I've identified them. I've come up with something of value. What's the best way to get in front of these people and to build that partnership?
Okay, so number one is online events or any conversation you're having, they can lead to specific outcomes. I have my clients write these down. What are the outcomes I'm seeking from any conversation or most any conversation? I'll tell you mine. A, landing them as a client. B, landing them as a joint venture partner. C, landing them as a referral partner. D, getting booked on a stage, a show, a podcast. Even just getting together and masterminding and trading ideas and getting different vantage points. Any one of those is a winning outcome. So any conversation I'm in, these are the things I'm feeling out. And should I see there is an alignment with the audience and the product offerings, then I will head that conversation toward a joint venture. But let's say it's not. Let's say, okay, I'm chatting with this person I met at an event or I was introduced to, and it's not a great fit for that. You can still learn what they do and find ways to provide them value, maybe an introduction or telling them about a tool or an event. And then you could say, you tell them what you do and say, now that you know a little bit more about what I do, in your network or your client base, do you know people that could specifically benefit from this? Or people who have audiences that could benefit from this. So you're actually seeking direct referrals or joint venture introductions all in the same conversation.
I think that's great. And it's a great conversation. And once you set these up, there's a lot of magic that happens behind the scenes, right? It's not just setting it up. What are the keys to making it successful once it happens?
Sure. So, number one is having a systematic flow for how to manage these. So you're not flying by the seat of your pants and wondering what to do when. Communication is really key. So the second I line up a JV, which is multiple times a week, I I'm sending a confirmation email that summarizes what we agreed to. I'm letting my team know that another joint venture was just booked, and we have specific simplified processes that they're just walking through the steps to build out the promotion or send the partner their JV kit with their swipe copy affiliate links. So I help clients create a cookie cutter using our entire system, and then they're just pushing it down over and over. So they're not reinventing the wheel. They always know what the exact next step is. It's a paint by numbers simplified system.
Yeah, it's a great system, and it's very detailed, and you've got a lot. I mean, there's a lot to it. A lot of removing pieces and a lot of systems and a lot of things thought through, which I love. And there's so many things. And if someone wants to work with you on this, which I suggest, if you really want to have a high ticket partnership and get in front of the right people and maintain these, I mean, it's worth the money left and right, because it'll save you so much time and money working with you. So what's the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. So if you'd like to book a chat with me or a member of my team in relation to how this can apply to your business, you can pop over to clarity.purejv.com, clarity.purejv.com. And if you just like general information about the kind of work we do, you can go to charlesbyrd.com. That's BYRD. And it's the cool thing is, let's say you have a higher ticket kind of offer, like someone like Jackson as an example with an 11K offer, like one presentation and you're profitable. You only need to sell 2 or 3, and that creates a whole framework for replicating it over and over and over again. So it makes it a pretty easy decision for the right kind of clients.
I mean, I think this works for almost any type of business that if your client's over $10,000 lifetime value, it's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer, and it is the ultimate shortcut. And that's why I want to bring you on these high-level ideas. But working with Charles is very much, and his team, they're great. I'll say that, and that's why I want to bring him on, because I think every one of you should be considering partnerships out there. And if you're an agency, we partner with agencies, so you can reach out to us. But if you're looking for more partners, reach out to Charles. I'll tell you this, people see our system and they're always like, I really want that. I'm like, okay, let me introduce you to Charles. Well, Charles, I really appreciate it. We'll make sure everyone follows you. We'll put LinkedIn, Instagram a lot. Charles is traveling all around the world, riding his one wheel. So it's kind of fun to follow his Instagram too. Is there anywhere else that people should follow you?
I think, Facebook, but basically, just keeping an eye on the website there. But I'll be riding the one wheel in the desert next week.
Well, Charles, thanks so much. We'll put a link to all this in the show notes, folks. If you really want a shortcut to building out an awesome partnership program, connect with Charles and his team over at Pure JV. Charles, thank you so much for being on this series.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for taking Charles and I on your journey. Make sure to take some action on partnerships. This has been I and Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.
We realized that traditional marketing channels like paid ads, Facebook ads, these kinds of things just never really worked for us. I got some advice from a friend of mine who introduced me to Charles, and Charles very quickly helped us. So our business now does over $6 million a year. I'm Jackson Milan. I'm also known as the Wealth Mentor, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aureus Financial. After I was introduced to Charles, I very quickly realized that I had no idea what I was doing. If I was going to be successful in growing and scaling the business, it was going to come through the transfer of trusted relationships. Through working with Charles, we honed that system, and we were able to grow and scale our business substantially. It's provided us with an exponential ROI, far beyond our expectations. I can start stepping out of the rainmaker position, handing over the reins and mentoring my team to do that for me, and that's allowed me to create an immense amount of leverage. So based on even the strategies that we're implementing right now, it's going to continue to deliver multi-million dollars of value each and every single year moving forward.